Moore, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Councillor Moore, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It is an honour to speak for the first time before full council this evening, and particularly to move this motion. The text of the motion is before you. I hope everything is clear within it. We will of course be happy to answer questions that you may have. I would like to extend thanks to other local authorities around the UK and members of our local community, and of course our own officers, for their help and advice in preparing the wording of this motion. This is not a drill. The threats to our planet are widely known. We hear daily, hourly reports. Sea temperatures are rising, coral reefs are dying, forests are burning, ecosystems across our globe are collapsing. Without actions to reduce global warming, polar ice will continue to melt at an unprecedented rate. Essex will be submerged. This is reality. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change first convened in 1988. For over 30 years, climate scientists have charted and reported back to governments on rising carbon dioxide levels from climatic change. They have warned of a tipping point beyond which we face a mass extinction event. There is no planet B. The UK government's target to zero carbon is to arrive by 2050. We see 2030 as an ambitious target for local authorities. Perhaps net zero by 2030 doesn't quite go far enough. It would indeed be admirable to achieve a -0 target by then. Please rest assured that we will continue to review baselines and targets year on year, and technology is advancing all the time, which will doubtless help us in our work to achieve our goal. But whether net zero or -0, it is time to address this crisis. It is clear from the public questions this evening that there's widespread concern here, and ongoing peaceful action by Extinction Rebellion activists highlights the issues nationally and internationally. Our Overview and Scrutiny Committee's acknowledgement tonight of the climate crisis only reinforces this notion. To achieve net zero carbon by 2030, yes, we must reduce emissions. We must change our behaviours. We also need to see huge amounts of planting, trees and hedgerow, and rewilding, not simply mitigation for the loss of green space and established habitat sacrificed for development. John Shannon playing fields could be one of many shining examples of environmental and community investment. Within our own council, we are eliminating single-use plastics, but we can and must do more. Businesses and educational establishments should follow suit. Our festivals and public events should be recognised nationally for their green, sustainable credentials. That should become second nature. Greta Thunberg, a young climate activist from Sweden, has delivered powerful testimony on the subject of climate change. I would like to quote her now to finish. Her words should resonate in this council chamber just as they did in Davos at the World Economic Forum in January this year. This is an excerpt from her speech, Our House is on Fire. There are no grey areas when it comes to survival. Now we all have a choice. We can create transformational action that will safeguard the living conditions for future generations, or we can continue with our business as usual and fail. That is up to you and me. Some say that we should not engage in activism. Instead, we should leave everything to our politicians and just vote for change instead. But what do we do when there is no political will? What do we do when the politics needed are nowhere in sight? Here in Davos, just like everywhere else, everybody's talking about money. It seems that money and growth are our only main concerns, and since the climate crisis is a crisis that never once has been treated as a crisis, people are not simply aware of the full consequence from our everyday life. People are not aware that there is such thing as a carbon budget, and just how incredibly small that remaining carbon budget that needs to change today. No other current challenge can match the importance of establishing a wide public awareness and understanding of our rapidly disappearing carbon budget. That should and must become a global currency and the very heart of our future and present economics. We are now at a time in history where everyone with any insight of the climate crisis that threatens our civilization and the entire biosphere must speak out in clear language, no matter how uncomfortable and unprofitable that may be. We must change almost everything in our current societies. The bigger your carbon footprint, the bigger your responsibility. The bigger your platform, the bigger your responsibility. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act. I want you to act as you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if our house is on fire. Because it is. Fellow councillors, Mr Mayor, members of the public, and council officers. As individuals, we have a duty of care to each other and to the environment. As elected councillors, that duty of care has to extend to all residents. It is our responsibility to do everything in our power to act on this declaration and to act now. Fellow councillors, this evening I ask you all to support this motion. Let us lead by example, declare a climate and ecological emergency and put our plans into action. Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
I'm seconding. So my rights to be closed today.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Is there a debate? Councillor Dean.
Yes, thank you. I think that was an absolutely wonderful way of expressing how many of us feel regarding this motion tonight. I hope that you will all be able to support it, but I would like to say that all of us individually, we can make very small steps within our own homes to help along the way. It's not just within the council, it's not necessarily within our schools or within our workplaces, but within our homes as well. Small steps like reducing the amount of single plastics that we use, put pressure on the supermarkets to reduce the amount of plastic that they want to put all of our food in and we don't really want. And I know there has been some good schemes going on locally whereby you can buy without the plastic, which is absolutely excellent, and I would like to promote those. But looking at our own electricity supply, can we go to a company that gives renewable energy? Are solar panels a possibility for the house that we live in? There are so many different ways that we can help, maybe converting to an EV vehicle perhaps. I'm absolutely 100% for this motion, and I sincerely hope that it gets a resounding success and voted by all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dean. Councillor Goldman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Moore for that fantastic speech. This is a really serious thing. We have an opportunity right here this evening to make a difference. Not just to say that we want to make a difference, but to really actually make a difference, to do something. For those of you that may not quite have picked up on it, that was my daughter Maisie that spoke earlier. I'm very proud of her. But there are lots of children speaking out around the world. Greta Thunberg is just one of them. My daughter's just one of them. There are lots of children who are frankly putting the adults to shame. Councillor Hyland spoke earlier about the great responsibility that he feels was placed upon him by the people that elected him. I feel that responsibility too. I hope we all share that sense of responsibility. As adults, we need to show the children just what we can do. As a council, we have no choice. We must lead the way. We must show others what is possible to do. We start right here in our own council, and I say we start tonight. Please support this motion.
We're clearly in favour of saving our planet, and this council has an excellent record of taking green measures during the past 16 years. There's not more to do. Whilst we believe the unquantified costs proposed in the motion and the plans for them are both unclear, subject to confirmation they will be given in detail by the administration. This group will support the motion this evening. Thank you, Steve.
Councillor Day.
On behalf of the independents and all the residents I represent that enjoy breathing, we welcome it. We would like to understand a little bit better about how you're going to measure the baseline and the outcomes of all that measuring. I'm sure you're aware that Broomfield Hospital is the largest employer in Chelmsford, and whilst there is a planned cycle road route along the western back roads, it's not direct and it's not convenient for any resident that's east of the main road of Broomfield. So to aid the climate change, on behalf of all the hundreds of NHS workers, the patients, the visitors, I'd request that a continued path along the River Chelmer be looked at and prioritised by the Waterways Working Group. Possible, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been concerned about climate change for many years, and I've taken action on an individual basis, but I'm very proud now to be a member of this group that's bringing this motion forward. A friend of the spokesman on television not long ago made the observation, which is somewhat true. We are the first generation to realise that we are destroying the earth. And we are the last generation who could stop it. Because if we don't stop it, it will be too late. Climate change will be irreversible, and we will all suffer in what follows. It will be undescribable. What we've been doing for the last 150 years is writing an epilogue, I suppose one might call it, to the Bible. Degenesis. Another fact that I hadn't heard before, I didn't realise there were 1 million species. There are 1 million species which are at risk. It is an appalling fact and a terrible comment on the stewardship of the earth by the human race. Can I welcome in particular the recognition that the items aren't numbered, but there is a number about working with, influence and inspire partnerships across the city. We've heard about the responsibilities of individuals, that is important. But there are many, many voluntary groups. Between us, we are probably members of hundreds, if not thousands, of voluntary groups, because there are so many in Chelmsford. And each of those can influence its members. Some of those, I'm thinking, for example, of parish councils and of churches, are owners of premises. Most of the premises and most of the vehicles which create pollution in our community are not owned by this council. So the only way we can have the dramatic effect we need to have is by influencing others. And we can do that by setting the example that's been referred to, but we can also do it by our own individual contributions. I mean, through those organisations as well as our contributions as individuals. This is by far the most important issue faced by the human race at this time. We have been perilously slow in recognising its importance. Now is the time to act.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As I said, and I know the time is now pressing, so I won't add very much. I want to highlight the point that Councillor Council Willis about we can't do this alone, we can only do it by working with other agencies, but that So I'm delighted that the Conservative group had a bit of a change of heart, because when they were asked to support this previous cabinet, they said it was all too hasty and we didn't want to do anything in a rush. I think as Councillor Moore said, for 30 years we've been talking about not doing anything in a rush. And we're way past the point of this might be described as taking a hasty action. We are way past the point where we should have acted. And it's almost too late. It's not a joke to say that most of Essex will disappear. It's a physical fact. Most of Essex will disappear if the polarised caps melt. It's a fact. And very large parts of the polarised cap have already melted, and it's melting at a ridiculously fast rate. And you could debate the extent to which humans have influenced that, but it's happening. And there's a lot that we could do to make the change. And it's the difference between 1.5 degrees change and 2 degrees centigrade change in the climate, the temperature of the planet, is, the scientists say, the difference we could make, and it's an absolutely critical difference that we can make, and we should. We should play our part, and this council is joining over 100 other authorities that have already taken these steps, and I hope the other 300 will join the 100 that have led the way. And that we as government locally and nationally will set a lead. We've already eliminated some single-use plastic in the council since the election. We are taking further steps. We will have zero carbon electricity very soon, and there's a lot more that we can do. And I welcome, as I said earlier, the input from other members with their suggestions as to how we can achieve this. And I hope this will get unanimous support.
Thank you, Councillor Rawlinson. Would those in favour of the motion please indicate?
Yes.